Elder Scrolls Leveling and Attributes, or E.L.S.A by Fallen 01135, is one of my favorite Skyrim mods, and it is a foundational mod in my load order. I spoke about the mod in my Skyrim modding philosophy video as well. Link to that video is in the description. This mod brings back the classic Elder Scrolls character progression system from Morrowind and Oblivion into Skyrim Special Edition. It replaces Skyrim's simple perk and skill leveling with a deeper, more old school system featuring attributes, birth signs, classes, and a skill-based leveling mechanic. I really love attributes as they not only exist as a representation of your character's capability, but they also add a separate incentive for self-improvement, and they help further establish identity for each playable race. They can even provide a solid numerical baseline that perks can be multipliers to. More importantly, having them means more options, which is fantastic for any RPG. With E.L.S.A, you level up just like Morrowind and focus on attribute development, which boosts derived stats like health, magicka, and stamina. I also love the NPC package where even NPCs get attributes, and you feel the difference when facing an orc or a Bosmer bandit. When you start the game, you choose 7 major skills that only contribute towards leveling. You level up by increasing major skills and assigning points to your 3 chosen attributes, which in turn boosts derived stats like health, magicka, and stamina. One of the most impressive aspects of this mod is the user interface overhaul. By simply pressing Tab, I can access a streamlined menu that eliminates the need to navigate the Constellation screen for skill updates. This interface allows for a comprehensive view of attribute and skill progression in a single glance, providing a significant efficiency gain over the standard horizontal scrolling. I have been using Elder Scrolls Leveling and Attributes for the past 3 years, and in my experience, it elevates every Skyrim playthrough. I like the fact that our characters level up just like Morrowind, and I love the focus on attribute development. I also appreciate the NPC Package add-on where every NPC gets attributes, and you feel the difference when facing an orc bandit with high strength and low speed compared to a Bosmer bandit with high speed and low strength. This is a huge feature as vanilla Skyrim has no governing attributes. This comes with a disadvantage when it comes to character specialization and NPC differentiation. E.L.S.A's NPC package solves this issue. So yeah, Elder Scrolls Leveling and Attributes will always be part of my Skyrim load order. I had even made a video back in 2024 when I first discovered it. I will leave a link to the video in the description. Now let's discuss the future of this amazing mod. Fallen 01135, the mod author, who has also implemented the attribute system for Skyblivion, is working on the rewrite of E.L.S.A. One of the most significant upcoming changes involves the attribute improvement process during level ups. Rather than relying on the traditional system where skill increases automatically provide attribute multipliers, players will now have the freedom to manually allocate points to their attributes. This shift mirrors the mechanics found in Oblivion Remastered and removes the direct dependency on skill leveling for attribute growth. While I found the Morrowind-style attribute modifiers acceptable, I'm perfectly happy with a system that allows for manual attribute selection. That being said, I have identified 3 essential features that I believe should be integrated into Elder Scrolls Leveling and Attributes mod. The first feature, change enchantments of artifacts and items with buffs and debuffs to attributes. For example, the Mace of Molag-Bal had this enchantment in Morrowind. Absorb strength, 1 to 15 points for 30 seconds on touch. Absorb magicka, 1 to 20 points for 30 seconds on touch. In Skyrim, for the same artifact, we had the following enchantment: damage stamina 25 points, damage magicka 25 points, and soul trap for 3 seconds. Now let's get back to the Morrowind enchantments on popular artifacts like the Mace of Molag-Bal. Next, get creatures and NPCs to manipulate attributes of the player character. This will add all sorts of unpredictability to combat. Just imagine if a creature drains your strength to 0, like the Greater Bonewalker of Morrowind. The removal of attributes in Skyrim ensured NPCs and creatures could only manipulate your health, magicka, or stamina. This made combat one-dimensional. So E.L.S.A could use a spell item perk distributor to give spells to certain enemies or creatures to manipulate attributes of the player. This would just add to the unpredictability and elevate Skyrim's combat. Next, I would like E.L.S.A to offer spells to the player to manipulate the attributes of enemies. Let me damage the strength of a warrior so they can't move. Let me able to drain the agility of an archer so they can't hit. Let me damage the intelligence of a mage so when their magicka goes below 0, they can't cast spells. Stuff like this will add a lot of strategy to Skyrim's mage combat. I spoke to Fallen 01135 in their Discord server and I got some responses to these requests. And here I mentioned the 3 big ticket items that I would love to see, and Fallen 01135 replies. The things you point out are possible, yes. Problem though is compatibility in some ways, maybe as a separate add-on. I try to make the main mod as compatible with other mods as possible. The spells though, I will need to test if NPCs actually use those spells, to be honest. In Skyrim, NPCs can determine if a spell is usable for them or not. I then mentioned how people use artifact mods like Artificer or Reliquary of Myth, both of which overhauls artifacts. So Fallen 01135 replies, yeah, that is why I probably would do something like this as an add-on, easier to patch. Fallen also spoke about attribute spells for NPCs and was wondering if NPCs can use those spells. The problem is not to distribute spells. I most likely will use SPID again for that, but it is about if they can actually cast them. Then I spoke about how some spell mods like Lost Grimoire SSE uses SPID to distribute the spells to NPCs, and I have seen them using those new spells. So that was a conversation between Fallen 01135 and me. So let's see if Fallen manages to add these features to E.L.S.A. Now, do you use E.L.S.A in your Skyrim node order? Do you have any advice or suggestions for Fallen 01135? Please share them in the comments below. I'm eagerly anticipating the upcoming update for E.L.S.A. My sincere thanks goes to Fallen 01135 for his dedicated efforts in enhancing the RPG depth of Skyrim for the benefit of the Elder Scrolls community. Thank you all for watching. May the Divines watch over you.